Some balloons.
Hey, because you didn't buy it, it's broke. You bought the turtle.
We didn't buy the turtle.
No. Did you buy that money? Ask me.
We got. Being at a HBCU, coming to a Power 5, people don't respect how you play. They don't respect a lot of things you did, not because of me, because of Pops, because of Dad, because they just didn't like him. That's just what it is.
Whoa. There he is, the next quarterback of the New York Giants.
How does a simple joke turn into a full-blown debate about respect in the NFL? What was supposed to be a loose, light-hearted live show suddenly felt different. The room had energy, young stars talking, smiles, competitive banter, nothing unusual. Then New York Giants running back Skattebo casually called Shedeur Sanders broke. At first, it sounded like standard locker room trash talk, but it didn't land that way. The comment came right after mentioning Shedeur's draft position. 5th round, not first, not second. The implication was subtle but clear: lower draft slot, lower paycheck. It was meant to be funny. Instead, the temperature shifted. There were side glances, short pauses, that half-second of silence that tells you something just crossed a line. Because in the NFL, draft status isn't just about money, it's about hierarchy, it's about perception, it's about respect. And Shedeur didn't snap. He didn't argue, didn't list numbers, didn't defend himself. He smiled. Not a playful grin, not an awkward laugh, a calm, controlled smile, the kind that says you might want to rethink that. That reaction spoke louder than any comeback could have. Here, why the moment hit harder than expected. Shedeur has been under a microscope since college. Being the son of Deion Sanders means scrutiny follows everywhere. Critics questioned his draft position. Analysts debated whether the hype matched production. So when the word broke was thrown around publicly, it didn't feel random. It felt layered. Because this wasn't just about money. It was about how modern players measure value. It was about draft slots versus market power. It was about whether respect in today's league comes from contracts or influence. And in that moment, without raising his voice, Shedeur made something clear. The conversation wasn't as simple as it sounded. Draft night changed the tone before he ever took a snap. When Shedeur Sanders slid further than many projected, the conversation shifted instantly. Analysts questioned it. Fans debated it. Some called it a wake-up call, others called it disrespect. Either way, the label stuck: 5th round pick. And in the NFL, draft position carries weight. It determines early contract value. It influences locker room hierarchy. It quietly shapes how veterans and coaches view you before you even earn a rep in practice. First-rounders walk in with built-in credibility. Late-round picks, they're expected to prove everything. That's why the broke comment hit differently. It wasn't just a joke about money, it was a reminder of draft status. A subtle way of saying you weren't valued the way you thought. And inside,
first time in history that a 5th round pick has led jersey sales.
Yeah.
Nobody is watching 3rd, 4th round as much as we've.
Competitive rooms, those reminders matter. Because draft slots create perception. Some fans believe Shedeur's fall had more to do with media fatigue than talent. Others argue teams simply prioritized different quarterback prototypes. Reports claimed certain front offices were unsure how his brand-heavy presence would translate to traditional locker rooms. None of that was confirmed outright, but the speculation was loud. And perception spreads fast in this league. When a quarterback arrives with national attention but without first-round backing, it creates tension. Not hostility, tension. Veterans notice the cameras, they notice the headlines, and sometimes they quietly wonder whether hype outweighs resume. That's the space Shedeur stepped into. He wasn't entering quietly, he had jersey buzz, media traction, a spotlight that didn't match his draft slot. That imbalance alone can raise eyebrows. Because in NFL culture, status is earned in layers. You earn it through draft capital. You earn it through contract size. And ultimately, you earn it through performance. Being drafted later doesn't mean you lack talent, history proves that, but it does mean the margin for error shrinks. Every throw gets dissected more, every misstep feels amplified. So when someone casually jokes about being broke, it's really referencing that hierarchy. It's draft politics wrapped in humor. And that's what made the moment more than banter. It tapped into a deeper reality, how how players are valued before they even step on the field. But that wasn't the full picture. The draft may have lowered his slot, but it didn't lower demand. Shortly after entering the league, reports began circulating that Shedeur Sanders was climbing and in some cases leading official jersey sales charts, not just among rookies, league-wide. That raised eyebrows fast. Because jersey sales aren't sympathy votes, they're consumer decisions. Fans pull out their wallets for players they believe in, players they're excited about, players they see as the future. And when a fifth-round quarterback starts outselling established veterans, that shifts the narrative. Some analysts were surprised, others weren't. Shedeur had already built a massive following at Colorado. His games generated national attention. Social media engagement stayed high. The spotlight didn't disappear on draft night, it followed him into the NFL. That's where perception started to fracture. On paper, draft position suggested one level of value. In the marketplace, demand suggested another. And the NFL is a business before it's anything else. Jersey sales matter because they reflect influence. They signal which names are resonating beyond the stat sheet. They show which players are becoming faces of franchises or even faces of the league. For a rookie quarterback drafted outside the early rounds, that's rare territory. Some fans believe the sales numbers prove critics underestimated his impact. Others argue it's early hype that will level out once regular season football begins. Either way, the visibility is real. And visibility creates leverage. When a player drives merchandise traffic, it affects marketing strategy. It affects broadcast attention. It even shapes how brands evaluate long-term partnerships. Teams notice that. Executives notice that. So when the broke comment landed, it clashed with what many fans were already seeing. Because you can debate draft position. You can debate arm strength. You can debate long-term ceiling. But it's harder to debate demand. The contrast became impossible to ignore. A later-round rookie with top-tier merchandise momentum. That's not typical NFL math. And here's the deeper layer: popularity doesn't guarantee performance, but it does guarantee scrutiny. The more jerseys sold, the brighter the lights, the expectations grow with every purchase. Which means the pressure only increases from here. Because now it's not just about proving draft critics wrong. It's about proving the market right. And that's when the conversation quietly shifted. Before he ever took a regular season snap, the business world was already circling. Shedeur Sanders didn't enter the NFL as a blank slate. He entered with a brand, and that brand was built long before draft night. At Colorado, he operated in the nil era, a time when college athletes could monetize their name, image, and likeness. While some players were just beginning to understand endorsements, Shedeur was already negotiating them, building them, leveraging them. That experience matters. Because when he reached the league, he wasn't learning how sponsorships work, he already understood positioning. Major companies aligned early: apparel, lifestyle, beverage. Reports claimed his endorsement portfolio rivaled and in some cases exceeded that of higher drafted rookies. That sparked debate across sports media. Some analysts questioned whether the business momentum outpaced the football resume. Others saw it differently. They saw timing. The modern quarterback isn't just a play caller, he's a marketing engine. Social media reach, engagement numbers, cultural relevance, all of that factors into endorsement value now. Brands don't invest purely on stat sheets, they invest on visibility and trajectory. And Shedeur had both. There were also rumors suggesting unique contract structures, escalators tied to playing time, activation bonuses, even aggressive revenue splits connected to merchandise performance. None of those details were officially confirmed in full, but the speculation alone revealed something important. He wasn't signing basic rookie deals. He was negotiating leverage. That's a shift from traditional NFL economics. In past eras, rookies took standard endorsement packages and built slowly. Today, influence can accelerate everything. If a player drives engagement, companies move faster. Some fans believe his business instincts come from growing up around elite athletes and entrepreneurs. Being the son of Deion Sanders means exposure to branding wasn't accidental. It was part of the environment. Still, endorsement momentum creates tension too. Veterans sometimes prefer rookies to establish themselves on the field before dominating headlines off it. When media attention tilts heavily toward one newcomer, locker rooms notice. That doesn't mean conflict, but it does mean awareness. And that's what makes this chapter fascinating. Shedeur isn't just chasing a starting role, he's navigating the intersection of football and finance in real time. The question now is whether he can build a brand. It's whether the brand and the performance will rise together or collide under the weight of expectation. And that's when the equity conversation entered the picture. Then the conversation moved from endorsements to ownership. At one point, reports began circulating online that Shedeur Sanders had been approached with a massive multi-year offer from Gatorade. Numbers as high as $60 million over 3 years were mentioned in social media discussions. To be clear, those figures were never fully confirmed through official league filings, but the rumor spread fast, and what really caught attention wasn't just the dollar amount, it was what came next. Some fans believe Shedeur didn't simply want a standard endorsement check. Rumors suggested he explored the possibility of equity instead of or in addition to a flat payout. Again, nothing formally verified in public documents, but the idea alone shifted the narrative. Because there's a huge difference between being paid to promote something and owning part of it. Endorsements generate income. Equity builds leverage. Ownership means long-term positioning. It means participating in growth. It means betting on scale instead of short-term security. Whether or not those exact numbers were accurate, the story reflected something bigger, how modern athletes are thinking differently. NIL changed the mindset at the college level. Players now enter the league already aware of brand valuation, negotiation strategy, and asset growth. That wasn't the NFL blueprint 20 years ago. Back then, rookies focused on signing bonuses and base salary. Today, the conversation includes revenue participation, brand alignment, and long-term equity stakes. And Shedeur's name keeps appearing in those discussions. Some critics argue this kind of financial focus creates distraction. They question whether too much attention on business pulls focus away from football. Others push back, saying financial intelligence doesn't cancel competitive drive. In fact, it can sharpen it. And that's the tension. Because when a rookie quarterback is rumored to be negotiating like a venture capitalist, it disrupts old-school expectations. Veterans may view it as bold, executives may view it as calculated, fans may view it as visionary. But here what stands out most, the rumor didn't paint Shedeur as flashy. It painted him as strategic. Whether every reported detail was precise or not, the narrative suggested something clear: he's thinking long-term, not just about contracts, not just about immediate endorsements, but about ownership, positioning, and scale. And that's when the conversation moved beyond money entirely. Now here where things get layered. Because when Shedeur Sanders walks into any NFL space, he's not just entering as a rookie, he's entering as the son of Deion Sanders. And that changes the temperature immediately. Deion isn't just a former player, he's a Hall of Famer, a Super Bowl champion, a cultural icon, a coach who reshaped the spotlight at Colorado. His personality has always filled rooms, his confidence has always been loud, his resume speaks before he does. So naturally that legacy follows Shedeur. Some veterans likely respect it instantly. Deion's name carries weight in football circles. Older players especially understand what prime time meant to the league. That kind of history commands attention. But NFL locker rooms have their own rules. Respect is earned in pads, not inherited. And when a rookie enters with national attention, endorsement buzz, and constant media coverage, all before proving himself on Sundays, some players quietly take notice. That doesn't mean hostility. It means evaluation. There's always a test phase. Every rookie quarterback goes through it. How you carry yourself, how you respond to pressure, how you handle jokes, shots, or subtle challenges. Which makes that broke moment more interesting. Because some fans believe it wasn't just random trash talk, They think it may have been a subtle check, a way of seeing how Shedeur would respond under public pressure. That interpretation isn't confirmed, of course, but locker room culture often works that way. Confidence can be seen as leadership, or it can be seen as entitlement. The difference is performance. Shedeur's calm reaction mattered. He didn't escalate, didn't defend, didn't overcompensate. That composure suggested control, and control earns respect over time. Still, the shadow of Dayan never fully disappears. Every throw will invite comparison. Every setback will spark commentary about legacy. Fair or not, the last name amplifies both praise and criticism. But here, the other side of that coin. Growing up around elite athletes means growing up around pressure. Cameras, critics, expectations. That environment builds insulation. It teaches you how to operate when everyone's watching. So the real question isn't whether the Dayan factor exists. It clearly does. The real question is whether Shedeur turns that legacy into fuel, or whether the league tries to make it a burden. And in rooms where hierarchy matters, that answer unfolds slowly, not loudly. The moment the clip surfaced, the internet did what it always does: it chose sides. When Shedeur Sanders was called broke, the reaction split almost instantly. Some fans treated it like harmless locker room banter. Others framed it as blatant disrespect toward a young quarterback still trying to establish himself in the league. And that's where things escalated. Sports media thrives on narrative. A 5-second comment can become a 3-day debate cycle. Suddenly, analysts weren't just talking about the joke, they were dissecting body language, tone, timing, and what it really meant. On one side, critics argued that Shedeur's brand-heavy image makes him an easy target. He's visible, he's confident, he carries himself like a star before proving it at the NFL level. To some, that visibility invites shots. On the other side, supporters pushed back hard. They pointed out that Shedeur has built legitimate nil success, handled intense college spotlight, and consistently shown poise under pressure. To them, the broke jab felt like envy disguised as humor, especially in an era where young quarterbacks are more business-savvy than ever. Then came the Dayan angle. Anytime Shedeur trends, his father enters the conversation. Dayan Sanders is a magnet for headlines, and media outlets know that attaching his name amplifies engagement. So what might have stayed a small locker room clip quickly became framed as, is Shedeur being targeted, or are veterans sending a message? That framing fuels clicks, but it also fuels fan polarization. Social media amplified everything: reaction videos, hot takes, quote tweets dissecting whether Shedeur smiled too long or not enough. Some claimed he looked unfazed, others insisted he looked irritated but controlled. And here's the truth about media cycles: perception often matters more than reality. If Shedeur performs well early, this clip becomes proof of his mental toughness. If he struggles, critics may recycle it as evidence that he was ready. That's how narratives work in modern sports. The interesting part is that Shedeur didn't add gasoline to the fire. No dramatic response, no cryptic social posts, no defensive interviews. That silence forced the media to speculate rather than react to new material. And when a player refuses to escalate, the story eventually burns out. But make no mistake, moments like this get remembered. Not because of the joke itself, but because of what comes next. If Shedeur turns early NFL adversity into production, this becomes a footnote in a much bigger story. If not, it becomes part of the storyline critics revisit. In today's media environment, even a single word can become a storyline. And sometimes, the reaction is louder than the comment itself. The NFL doesn't just evaluate rookie quarterbacks on the field, it tests them in the locker room first. When Shedeur Sanders entered the league conversation, he wasn't just another prospect. He arrived with cameras, confidence, brand deals, and one of the most recognizable last names in football. And in NFL culture, that combination changes the temperature immediately. Because rookie quarterback politics are real. Veterans have seen hype before. They've watched first-round picks walk in with headlines, endorsements, and media attention, only to struggle once the real speed of the game hits. So when a young quarterback shows up already treated like a franchise face, some veterans naturally take a wait-and-see approach. It's not always personal. It's hierarchy. Quarterback is the most powerful position in the building. A rookie stepping into that role isn't just learning plays, he's stepping into leadership dynamics that have existed long before he arrived. Offensive linemen protect you. Receivers depend on you. Coaches adjust schemes around you. That kind of authority isn't handed out lightly. And that's where perception starts to matter. Some fans believe certain comments or sideline moments hinted at subtle testing. Not open conflict, just quiet evaluation. Does he command the huddle? Does he own mistakes? Does he deflect pressure? In NFL locker rooms, those details get noticed quickly. Then there's the media layer. Anytime Deion Sanders is involved in the storyline, coverage intensifies. Analysts debate whether Shedeur's confidence is earned or inherited. Is he being fast-tracked because of talent or because of the spotlight around his name? That conversation quietly shapes how teammates are portrayed too. If he succeeds early, veterans are described as supportive. If he struggles, narratives shift toward tension or was he ready? Speculation. Even routine moments get framed as statements. And what happened next added fuel. Reports suggested that some veterans wanted performance to speak louder than personality. Nothing dramatic, no confirmed conflict. But in professional football, respect is currency and it's earned through consistency, not branding. That's the political reality of being a rookie quarterback. You're not just competing against defenses, you're navigating egos, expectations, and invisible leadership tests. Every throw builds credibility, every mistake gets magnified. The smartest young quarterbacks understand this quickly. They lead quietly, they respond with production, they let critics debate while they focus on execution. Because in the NFL, hype might get you in the building. But only command and results keep you at the center of it. At first glance, the moment seemed small. A joke, a comment, a little competitive energy between young NFL players, but when you zoom out, it revealed something much bigger about how today's league actually works. When Skattebo made that broke remark toward Shedeur Sanders, it wasn't just about money, it tapped into draft status, perception, respect, and the unspoken hierarchy that shapes locker rooms before a single snap is played. Because in the NFL, where you're drafted still carries weight. A first-round pick walks in with built-in credibility. A later-round quarterback, fair or not, he's viewed through a different lens. Every throw becomes proof. Every mistake becomes confirmation for doubters. That pressure doesn't disappear just because a player carries confidence or a famous last name. And that's what made Shedeur's reaction stand out. He didn't escalate, didn't over-explain, didn't fire back. He let the moment breathe. That calm response subtly shifted the dynamic. It showed control, and in professional football, control is power. But here's what this really revealed. The league is changing. Today's players aren't defined only by rookie contracts. Nil deals, social media presence, brand partnerships, those lines between broke and paid aren't as simple as they used to be. Some fans believe the comment felt outdated in a modern NFL where influence can rival salary. Others think it was harmless locker room talk blown up by online reactions. Either way, it sparked conversation. It highlighted how quickly narratives form, how one comment can ignite debates about ego, hierarchy, and respect, and how quarterbacks, especially young ones, are judged differently than everyone else on the roster. There's also the bigger layer. Being the son of Deion Sanders means every interaction carries extra meaning. Fair or not, people watch for signs of entitlement, they watch for cracks, they wait for validation of whatever opinion they already hold. That's the reality. So what did this moment truly reveal? Not conflict, not confirmed tension. It revealed how fragile respect can be at the highest level, how words echo louder when cameras are on, and how the smartest response sometimes isn't a comeback, it's composure. Because in the NFL, perception moves fast. But poise, that lasts.